with them. What I'll do now is I will flick over to our speaker scene, and I think up next we have Finlay. Perfect. Cool. I will start that call. And I've changed, so I've got two sets of headphones here. One that's connected to purely Skype, and one that's connected to the game, and it's just chopping and changing between them. Where are we? Right, so contacts. Let's jump in here, and we have Finlay McFarlane. Is the audio okay for everyone? Just letting you know.
Hello, hello.
Hello, Finlay. How you doing, my man?
I'm very well. How's the whole gaming extravaganza going?
It's going incredible. I can't believe how fast time is flying. It is already quarter to 8. So yeah, we're cooking with gas there.
You will not be saying that at 4 a.m. Trust me.
Yeah, I'll say that. I might be shaky with the caffeine, but no, it's absolutely great to have you on, man. I'm guessing you've also heard that we've smashed the fundraiser. You were in the chat earlier, but yeah, that is us. We're up to 365 quid at the moment.
That is fantastic. Listen, I am not surprised, but everyone watching needs to dip their hands in their pockets and donate a couple more pounds if they can afford it, because this is such an absolutely worthy cause.
Yeah, you're spot on. You're absolutely spot on. So I would like to start, if it's not too much of a hassle, if you could tell us a wee bit about the Attitude Awards, because I saw on Twitter there was a whole thing about you. You looked smashing in the kilt, and you went down. I think was it Pixie Lot down there?
Yeah. So I was absolutely honored to be one of 10 winners of an Attitude Award. That's at Attitude Magazine, which is this. Actually, it's the world's most read LGBT magazine worldwide. And yeah, Pixie Lot was the presenter of my award, and I was amongst 9 other really inspirational people who are fighting for LGBT rights. And sadly, this is a fight that's been ongoing for now 60 plus years, probably since forever.
Yeah.
However, do you know what? We are really lucky that in Scotland, particularly, that we've been really hot on LGBT rights and leading from the front. And this is what the Thai campaign also does. It's about leading from the front, starting from very early age. We need to be teaching kids tolerance, because if we don't teach them tolerance, unfortunately, the opportunity is there to be taught intolerance by parents, grandparents, and cultural factors as well.
And I would argue that's the main differentiator with Thai, is they're actually starting it from a really sort of ground level, a grassroots level. We've got we had John in, who's a teacher trainer in the chat, who's trained 300 teachers through Thai to deliver inclusive education. And it's starting early is key to it, of course.
Fantastic. Listen. We don't get a choice as LGBT people about being LGBT. It's just who we are. So, and a lot of us know that from very, very early age. Now, the issue is that, for example, when I was in primary school, so we're talking about 15 years ago, there was none of that. I don't ever remember having an out LGBT teacher or role model ever. And that was just kind of fact of life. So for me, my first experience of another gay person was another boy in my year, and I think now, this was back in high school, he came out, and how brave a move to come out. It was like year 7 or 8 or something. And do you know what? Actually, as a gay person myself, I reacted really negatively towards him, because I had all this own insecurity and hate. And my God, see that boy now, if he'd also had a teacher above him, some role model or someone saying, hey, do you know what? This is just the reality of society. We're normal, we're gay, we're lesbian, we're trans, it happens. And actually just be yourself, and let's celebrate difference in society. I think I would have been a lot better person growing up, to be honest.
Yeah. I've got to ask, and I don't mean to take this chat into a deeper way,
Uh-huh.
but the work that you done and the recognition of the Attitude Award that you received was for
Yeah.
and survivors of sexual assault. And I think
Yeah.
that, it was through your own experience that inspired you to really be an outspoken campaigner and actually start the conversation about, we've got to be able to speak about this sort of stuff. I was wondering if you could tell us a wee bit about that. You don't need to go into anything that you don't want to go into.
No,
Um,
absolutely, absolutely. I'm absolutely happy to talk about my experience. So, for anyone listening in that doesn't know my story, unfortunately, I was raped when I was just turned 18. I wasn't yet out either, and that caused a whole load of problems for me growing up. In terms of, I couldn't tell anyone because I also wasn't out to my parents, wasn't ready to be out. I also missed out on kind of those formative years as a gay person when you're kind of experimenting and finding out who you are. And so basically my whole mission, and I set up the This Man Too campaign, basically we as men need to kind of learn from the Me Too movement that swept the scene of females. We need to be kinder to one another. We need to be supportive. We need to learn that actually vulnerability is strength. And you know what, marginally, that's something that the gay community is a lot better at doing than straight men. And so now I'm taking the fight from the kind of LGBT community out to these kind of hardcore straight scenes, the men's health guys, the kind of big bodybuilders at the gym. They also need to know that, you know what, stuff happens in life. Actually, the thing that will kill you is not talking about it. So the real strength comes from standing up and saying, hey, this crime happened to me, or I'm not feeling so great, or talking about mental health. And that's, again, something that Thai Campaign can help tackle, especially amongst the LGBT people. Growing up, the mental health stats are not good enough. And that can be so easily fixed by just having someone who's a role model there in front of you. Someone that you can look up to and aspire to be, someone that you feel like you can, through their disclosure, and I found this a lot in my campaigning work, obviously through my disclosure of my rape experience, I get hundreds of men reaching out to me saying that it happened to them too. Now, imagine that effect, put it into kind of LGBT perspective. So imagine being a young gay person and having a gay high school teacher. Now, this is unimaginable for the life that I had growing up, but I can only imagine that if that had been the case, I maybe would have come out 10, 15 years earlier than I did. And I was really late coming out. I didn't come out until I was about 22, 23. And I just think maybe if I'd had that wee role model, someone I could have gone and talked to privately after class. And this doesn't have to, these teachers don't have to be LGBT themselves, but just have to be an active ally. Now, if they were an active ally, maybe I could have had a chat with them after school and they could have helped me go through what is a really traumatizing experience for all LGBT, but that we all have to go through, sadly, at some stage.
Yeah. I mean, it's very important what you're saying there about like having a teacher or having some form of role model that you actually can approach. And I imagine for unfortunately the majority at the moment, people wouldn't view themselves as like an active ally. But at least having that level of knowledge to understand what the development process is when it comes to that, and even being able to direct them to people who can help is massive. So I mean, like, there might just be some teachers that never want to have that sit down conversation because they're either not comfortable about it because they're straight and they don't know the experience inside and out. But at least having the knowledge to be able to say, I can put you in touch with people who can help. And, I can make the introduction and stuff. And I think that's one of the things that Ty's really empowering teachers to do.
Yeah. No, definitely. And just the idea of being an ally as well is something that Ty really champions.
Yeah.
You don't have to be LGBT to be a role model for these kids. And these kids are crying out because they maybe don't have that support at home. They're maybe brought up in a deeply religious community. They're maybe brought up in a parents that wouldn't understand. And so the real lifeline for these children is someone that can be in the educational system for them. And I cannot stress how important this is. That these kids need somebody, anybody. For me, I didn't have a teacher role model. It was down to that one brave kid in my year that decided to come out, and I kind of thought, wow, okay, maybe this is also me. Now, if he hadn't been there for me, I would have had nobody. And where would that have put me? So I cannot stress the importance of TIE continuing to make these, universally free resources for teachers, schools, people who are working around young people, just to be an ally. And, the importance of being an ally and just being open about having these inclusive education. So when we're talking about relationships for kids, we also include, do you know what? There can be two dads who adopt. This is the 21st century. This is a norm for a lot of children. So let's talk about them in classrooms. Let's not pretend that they somehow don't exist, which has been the norm, and that's what TIE seeks to change. So absolutely, please, everybody listening in, put your hands in your pockets. Even £1 will make a massive difference.
Yeah, I mean, is the you saying that is like, I recall it was always like, I don't think there was ever a scenario whenever it was like a family spending X amount on their holiday and you were supposed to calculate how much change they had left. It was never. It was always the nuclear family. It was the man, the son, the mum, and the daughter, and that was that was it. And that was the only example that you ever
Literally,
got. There was nothing else.
And that also goes. Think about every single Disney film you've ever seen growing up. Think about every single Pixar film you've ever seen growing up. There is zero representation. The only, I remember just kind of candidly looking at these magazines on the top shelf, magazines like Attitude magazine, so it's kind of come full circle for me, but candidly looking at them thinking, oh man, maybe, but they were up on the high shelves, so they were out of reach for me. I couldn't read about other gay people, I couldn't hear about other gay people, and even down to minuscule changes that would just make you feel more included. So these stupid maths problems that I could never get anywhere with anyway, because I just don't have that kind of brain. But they would always just kind of set out a problem X person and Y person are saving up for their marriage. How will they afford, dissect their budget, whatever the kind of question was. And it can be as simple as just including two men's names, two females' names in that problem. And it's so subtle. And that would have made a huge difference towards normalizing the idea that some people love people of the same sex. And love is love, and that is fine.
Yeah. One thing that you touched on there is the sort of the entertainment industry and how Disney and stuff like that, there is very little representation. I'm not sure if you'll agree with me, but I think there are a few shows on Netflix and Amazon Prime and stuff that are getting slightly more diverse. I'm a big fan of Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and I think they dealt with the way that Rosa came out as bisexual quite well. But what would you like to see, and how would you like to see introduced more LGBT diverse characters in the entertainment industry?
Oh, what a fabulous question. And you know what? Netflix have been so good on this. So, for example, I remember being really struck by, I was watching, it's this new sci-fi, it's Afterlife or something, about this kind of space crew that are stranded in the middle of nowhere, basically. So I was watching that.
Yep.
And they have this one character who's kind of non-binary. Now, you never really know. It's never addressed in a plot point. They just are them. They are successful in their job, in the part, and their kind of sexuality and gender identity is never actually a point of a plot twist. Or sadly, the way that gay people and LGBT people have been portrayed in the media and in films and stuff, they always tend to meet their tragic demise first.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've ever seen a horror film where the campy gay guy is butchered first out of the group of friends. Now, it's fine, but you know, LGBT relationships and lives are not always tragic. There is not enough celebration of successful LGBT people. And I thought that the way this show, Afterlife, and oh God, what was the other one? The several shows on Netflix have done it so well. They just include LGBT people, and they don't make a whole song and dance of it. They're just there.
Yeah.
And I tell you what, as an LGBT person watching that, you think, oh, geez, I can see myself in them. And they're not a tragic heroine.
Yeah, I've always been to make this story better, we're gonna have to have them die.
Yeah.
Every Disney film always gets that sort of happy ending. I almost
It
feel like
always, it always used to bug me so much. There was always some great character that finally, through all their struggles, meets the one. And they get together and then they're killed off next episode. And I thought, no! Where's their
God
happy
damn
ending?
it! Can we have some good writers, please? What I can gather from that is that from a normalization perspective, it needs to be there, but it doesn't need to be. I've always and I know that I'm straight, so I'm not sure if I can really make this observation, but I've found that when a whole character's plot line evolves around their sexuality, and of course there is a big bit about characters coming out and stuff like that, but when the epicenter of their entire character, not their actions or what they do outside, is roped into their sexuality, I'm not sure if I'm wrong here, but there's a sort of you're not normalizing, then you're making it you're almost just pigeonholing them into, you are the LGBT character.
Your life is defined by who you love. Exactly. You're so right. And you know what? This is the reason why sci-fi in particular has been so popular amongst LGBT people. Because if you think back to the old Star Trek days, they had the first kind of women of color in a leading role.
Yeah.
And that was and they didn't make a big song and dance or a plot point about that. She was just there as a competent member of the team on the bridge. Yeah. And sci-fi has continued to do that. I mean, look at the OA, for example. They just have queer people as themselves, and they're three-dimensional. They have a full facet of experiences in life, and they happen to love maybe same-sex people, or they happen to have a trans identity, and it's fine. And that is the revolutionary thing. It's not revolutionary to have a storyline centered around someone coming out, because all LGBT people understand what that is like. The revolutionary thing now in the 21st century is just to have a three-dimensional LGBT character who has flaws and who has highs and lows and who reflects who we all are today. That's the thing that really kind of puts the goosebumps up LGBT people's arms. And that's, I think, where sci-fi has done so much for the LGBT community. So much.
I mean, I think what you've just said is definitely going to be one of the sort of defining quotes for the whole stream. That was, I'm 100% with you on that, and I'm looking at the chat now, and they're all agreeing with you.
Honestly, listen. There are so many fans of Star Trek. It's unbelievable,
yeah.
And that's why. That is why, because it's just they have such a futurist look on, and I think it's all about hope and all about the future. It's like looking to 3,000 years from now, and look, it's no big deal. They just are who they are, and everyone is fine about that. And there is no bigotry, there is no homophobia, there is no transphobia. They just all celebrate humanity, and that's what sci-fi gets so right, and that's what other films and genres of television and media could do so much better.
It's interesting you're mentioning sci-fi so much, because I think one of the first games I played back in 2007, the game industry's sort of moved on a wee bit. It can still get, people who identify as gamers can still be quite, quite bigoted. But I would say one of the biggest games that really tried to include diversity was a game called Mass Effect, and it was just It was just there. They never made a song and dance. They never made an entire person's thing captured around them being gay. It was just because you can make up your own character, and then you could have a relationship with someone in your team or your space squad or whatever.
Gaming can be so good because it's an escape. It's an escape from what hard times LGBT people have growing up. I mean, I remember, maybe this is oversharing, but I remember kind of cheating my parents into letting me buy The Sims when it was all the rage. This is the original Sims. And just the fact that two guys could get together and have a relationship was holy crap. Oh my God. I remember feeling so kind of dangerous and on edge. Whenever
Yeah.
I play with Sims, that my two guys like getting on together, and I know I won't be alone in this, but it was like games gave a kind of fantasy platform that we could escape into, where there is no judgment, there is no, and you can explore. I don't know. So maybe that's something that will hopefully long continue.
No, absolutely. And I think I'd say there's almost a like I'd say that game developers at the moment there's a certain responsibility they have because games are such a massive part of culture that
Yeah.
you've got to include these because it's representative of their audience and their fan base and people who play their game. So why would they not?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I can't remember who exactly it was, but I remember reading about a kind of open world game that was designed, and people were quite kind of raging that their character didn't have the option to pursue relationships with members of the same sex. I think there was kind of an outcry about it, and the games developer actually themselves said, "Hands up, yeah, that was kind of an oversight." Maybe you'll know.
I don't know off the top of the head. I mean, I could think about four that probably fit that definition. But the nice thing is that some developers are at least willing to have that conversation. And at the end of the game, at the end of the day, it's their audience and who they're selling to. And if you're not going to include your audience, then the audience aren't going to buy your stuff.
And it should not be an oversight. If you think of
Absolutely not.
Skyrim, for example, I played Skyrim, and I'm not even that much of a gamer. Now, you have the option, you can marry a female character, or you can marry a male character, and there is no drama, no issue about it. It just is the way it is.
Yeah,
now,
it's totally normal.
It's not that, surely it is not that hard for developers to include that. Surely it is not that hard to just put the coding in to make that physically possible. So if there's a bias in the coding, then we actually do need to call it out. Because
it might not be a sort of a quick and easy thing to code, but I would say that if you're considering putting in if you're going in with a very heteronormative view of things, it's actually you're responsible to know that you're going to have to make time to be inclusive rather than overlooking it completely. So,
yeah, you just have to kind of have that in your mind, I think, at all times.
Yeah,
and that exists outside of LGBT issues. For example, I'm often very thinking to myself, how considerate am I of people with disabilities? What are their issues that we don't even consider? In my data, because I don't have that issue myself, you have to train yourself constantly to think, let's be more considerate as people. Let's put ourselves in other people's shoes. Let's consider other people's needs in everything that we do. And if we all kind of do that, then we'll build a better world for everybody. One which there is never a feeling of, I don't belong, or I have no community, or I'm on my own here, because actually no one's ever on their own. It's very hard to be original in a world full of 3 billion people. So let's build a world that suits 3 billion people,
Yeah, I could not agree more. And just 1 wee second there, but we've just smashed 500 quid, mate.
Congratulations! And listen, this is only the beginning, so I will say again.
It's only the beginning. We've only just met 3 hours in. We are 3 hours in, and we've got 21 hours left.
Listen, if you are tuning in, I will hunt you down if you can put your hands in your pockets and donate at least 50p. If everyone donated 50p, Thai Campaign would have no worries going forward to do their work. You'll be sponsoring schools, you'll be sponsoring online resources. Do it. Put your hands in your pockets. This poor guy, AyeforScotland, is going to be gaming 24/7. He'll have matchsticks holding his eyelids up, so the least you can do is donate £1. Jesus, don't be mean. Come on. It's less than a cup of coffee.
That's
my wee spiel for you.
No, that is absolutely brilliant. And if you don't mind, we'll have one last question, if that's okay.
Yeah, of course.
So, and I asked the same thing to John Nicholson, but I was talking about what Thai have actually created, and what I believe their goal is they've actually developed the framework for delivering inclusive education. So we've covered. I mean, now don't get me wrong. There's still work to do in Scotland, but what do you think about the potential for other groups picking up and using Thai's material to deliver stuff on a global scale? You know, hundreds of Thai groups.
That is the beauty of Thai. So we quite often get caught up in Scotland of thinking just about Scottish issues, Scottish schools, Scottish whatever. But they are making material and guidance and training that is free to use. So when we in Scotland think, do you know what, we're quite lucky because we have a degree of equality here, and we're taking steps towards implementing inclusive education, but we are so horrified looking at the news to what's happening in America, what's happening in India, what's happening in China to LGBT people and the sheer repression and the oppression that they're facing. Well, do you know what? These materials are online, and the beauty of the internet is that someone out in India, someone out in China are able to access these resources and use them. So when you put your pound in, as I keep mentioning, please put your pound in. When you put your pound in, you are not just spending a pound in Scotland. That pound will go all around the world. So you'll be able to hold your head high when you hear about things going on in Russia. You know, these horrendous things that are happening in Crimea, etc., where they're literally rounding up gay people. And we're talking about Section 28 times a million. The worst prejudice that gay people have ever experienced and oppression. Well, you're actually giving a pound for hope because those resources will also be available there. And we're able to lead from the front in Scotland, and we shall continue leading from the front in Scotland and showing, you know what, this is actually what inclusion looks like. Deal with it. This is modernity. Get with the times.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for being the first speaker to put his name to the notice. And
I'm so chuffed that you've even been asked.
You can see what it's turned into, and over the course of your speech there, we reached 500. So that's brilliant. And now I need to go and up it. I think that's the only way. Onwards and upwards.
If you keep jumping into these spikes, I'll be coming after you as well as the people that haven't given their pound. Okay?
No worries. Okay, my man. Thank you very much for phoning in, and we'll chat soon.
Enjoy your coffees.
See you in a bit, my man.
Goodbye.
Oh my fucking god. We've reached 500! I didn't want to celebrate too much because I was on a phone call, but fucking hell, yes!